Hello, everyone, and welcome to my spiritual GPS. This is your host, Vivian S. D. Guzman. So, what is the show about? GPS, as we know, is like the GPS or the navigational system in your car, right? And if you look at a person's spiritual GPS, you normally look at where you are in your life and where you're headed, or where do you want to be in the future, right? So sometimes we get lost in the way when we are looking for that GPS and we are just going and going based on whatever we learned from family, perhaps from history, tradition, our culture, or our religion, right? And the thing though is if you are following blindly what others have set before you instead of really being in touch with who you are as a being, who you are as a spirit, right? Who you are as a person, we tend to get lost. So the more you know who you are, the better you are really figuring out, okay, where am I starting from and where is my destination? Because I can tell you, you're going to be so much happier when you're living the life that God created for you because you are one unique individual. So today, I am bringing in our TW Academy healers. We have a very, very special show for you called Practical Tools to Have a Happy Holiday. So let me bring up Amy Fahim. She is our spiral practitioner in the Academy. And we're also bringing to you Vienna Dunna. She is our emotion code practitioner. She also does code of consciousness work. So all three of us, the human MRI and the number one money magnet activator, the spiral practitioner really taking you through the different chakra system, and Vienna, who's really good at the emotion code and the code of consciousness, we are here to provide you with the practical tools to have a happy holiday. Hi, ladies. How are you today?
Doing good, Vivian.
Really
All
glad to
right. All right. So I decided, I'm like, what kind of tool do these people need this time, right? Because the common theme, I can just share with you what's going on in my world, right? And it's so funny because we're a collective of healers and we're helping other people, right? There is some form of a similarity. So let me just give you an example. This week, I've noticed a lot of relationship issues creeping up with either husband and wife. It could be friends. It could be in our organization because we all have differences in how we spend the holidays and how we practice all that good stuff, right? And it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing that it's coming up because when there's friction, there is an opportunity to resolve that. So, what are you seeing in your world, Amy, during this
Yeah,
time
no.
this week?
Oh, yes, Vivian. The relationships definitely are I'm sensing there's some things going on. People are feeling some anxiety and some apprehension as we're moving into the holiday season here in the States. Gatherings, people are planning their gatherings and things like that, and I can feel this undercurrent of anxiety in the collective as we are moving into this season, and people are starting to gather and they're starting to make the plans with the families and things like that. And
Yeah. How about you, Vienna? What have you been sensing in your world?
it's very much what both of you have said. And the particular flavor I see to it is that people tend to revert back when they go back into familiar settings, like the house they grew up in, or, with the family members. They become that young person again. They revert to a previous age. I remember coming home from college and I would suddenly be a junior high kid again in my interactions with my parents. It's like, what's this? Feeling all grown up and independent. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, what was that? So I see people being concerned about that. like, oh, I just don't like getting together when there's my brother-in-law and he triggers me. And so they're concerned, some people I'm seeing, about reacting in some ways that they have in the past. So that's one of the tips I want to give is some clues about how to go not reacting based on that past.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And the one thing I've been noticing in myself, so we can all give a few practical tools, right, to have a happy holiday, because all of us obviously have different family members. We have different traditions, right? What's accepted, what's not accepted in the family. And in my family, so when I got married, he doesn't celebrate Christmas, right? So that was kind of like a shock on my system. And again, I learned to be neutral about it. But then at the same time, like you said, when I was a kid, we celebrated Christmas a lot, right? And that was the time when my dad would come home from Saudi Arabia after not seeing him for a year. Like, how can you not celebrate the main person that actually provides for, food, clothing, and shelter? Not be happy about that time. So for me, it was just the memory of the time that I enjoyed the celebration, right? Like we all cooked together and I actually learned how to cook, because of it. And you learn how to wrap presents. Like you happen a lot of things, right? In that moment. So obviously my present time is they don't celebrate it that day. They actually move it towards the end of the year. So they celebrate New Year, but not Christmas. And so for me, I just go, well, what's good for me at this time? And if I want to celebrate, so I celebrate with my clients and I celebrate with other friends of mine because he doesn't want it, but I want it. So I want it in a different way. So I just choose my group, right? So I can still express my own self and create space for myself to be okay. And it's funny because he doesn't question why I celebrate it. Like he's given me that space over time after 26 years of being married, right? He's given me this space to actually be myself. And so I get to celebrate it with my clients, with other people. And I'm happy because I'm like, oh, how cool is that? I got my space to do my thing. So space for me during this time, I'm noticing very big. It's almost like that's why I give myself 3 weeks of vacation because I like my own quiet time so that I can look at the whole year before me, evaluate what works and what doesn't, so that I can choose what to bring in for 2022 and let go of what no longer serves me this year. Does that make sense?
Oh, a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. So that's my way of taking the high road instead of getting upset that people don't think that way I think, because that doesn't work very good. You guys know that, right? I don't know. I don't know if you've tried it a few times, but it's like hitting your head on the wall and
only always.
We can have anything we want and we can celebrate in any way that that feels true for us. And if there's someone in our lives that maybe doesn't celebrate or doesn't have that same viewpoint as you, it's okay for us to then seek that community and that celebration with other people in our lives that will also celebrate with us.
Yes. How about you, Amy?
No, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that's so creative to just we can get tunnel vision. And one of my mentors has a lovely thing that probably pertains to issues at this time. And it's like he says, when you get it's either A or B, we get kind of this black and white mindset of, there's only two choices here. And he says, creativity is out in the peripheral vision. God's answers come out here, not in the locked in place. And so he said, just kind of look up, look around and let your mind open up. And just like suddenly a thought may come to you. So I like that, creating visual even space to open up new ideas.
Yeah. And going off that, it's important for us, especially when we're getting together with our families and our friends, and we're starting to gather for the holidays and celebrations, to giving ourselves that permission to take the space if we need it. So if that means you got to step outside for a moment or walk away from the group, it's perfectly okay for you to take that space and have that space for yourself so that you can re-regulate and come back.
And not even have to prove or defend why you did what you did.
Exactly.
Got a little fresh air. No need to
I just needed some air. I just needed some space, and that's all that's needed.
No, that's so true. Like during the last Thanksgiving, suddenly I got sleepy, right? You know how you hustle and prepare the whole food, and then I'm like, oh, they're all eating perfect, thank God. And I'm kind of tired because I prepared and I ate. I just kind of feel sleepy, so I said I'm gonna go upstairs and take a nap. So I did, and they didn't even miss me because it was like an hour of nap, a little bit over an hour, and then I came down again with the same outfit. Right, I changed to my pajama and then back to my outfit, and they didn't even ask me because they were like watching TV, eating, doing other things, and I'm like, oh, perfect. And so now I feel better because I had some energy, right? I processed whatever that was. And then I went back and I'm my pleasant self again. I think that's what the space is like you and Vienna said. If we don't take space, and you know how sometimes you get angry, it's building up, right? Inside, you feel like it's about to explode, and then suddenly you're like, oh! And like, why is she mad? And then they couldn't understand your reaction because you needed some quiet time. You know, it's kind of like a child pandering, and then you're like, just go to bed, just go to sleep.
Right.
Just take some space. Here, let's move you to another room so you can have some space. You can work through that, and then we'll come back to the group.
Brilliant.
Oh my God. So what other...
Sometimes there can be so much going on that...
Oh, yes, yes, go ahead.
I was saying there can be so much going on and so much stimulation when you're all gathered together that, you know, you're gathering with people that you don't see day to day, right? You see them maybe once a year, a few times a year, but you're all together in this space and all of your emotions and energies are bouncing off each other. So taking that space and remembering who you are and grounding back into yourself really helps the whole group actually then regulate on its own as well.
That's right. Because others will reflect what we're doing, particularly children, right? They just often take their cues, and there are certain ones we don't even want them to take. So like you said, step away. And one of the tools that I'd like to suggest, sometimes when people do get a little time off work between holidays, and maybe you're looking for a good book to read, and I'd like to recommend Emotion Code. Because it's a pretty easy read, and it's designed to be self-teaching. So you can learn it. There's some YouTube videos. And so I thought, as just a little example today of what's possible, and I always have to laugh at this particular word that came up today. I was expecting something like, you know, stress or something, and the word it came up when I said, oh, is there a trapped emotion that our listeners and we would benefit from today? It was wishy-washy. So I'm going to read the definition.
Okay.
So here we go. Weak, spiritless, undecided, irresolute, without strength of character, to lack conviction, without a backbone. And I thought, wow, actually, you know, when I used to really get into people-pleasing space, that would be exactly how I would describe it. It's like, oh, what do you need me to be? How about you? And, you know, in a room full of people, you can't, I mean, it really in life, if we're honest, we can't please everybody, right? But boy, I tried, let me tell you. How'd that work out for me? Not so well. Finally at, you know, those big O birthdays, you know, it's kind of like the end of the year, New Year's Eve, you know, got these new resolutions. So yeah, finally facing 60 years old, I go, yeah, that hasn't worked well, letting other people write my story. I'm going to take the pen in my own hands now. Thank you very much. So I've laid aside wishy-washy and irresolute to letting other people make my decisions. So I encourage people to Keep that in mind. There's no need to change who you are just because you're surrounded by other people. You do you. Let them do them, right? We don't need them to change either to fit our little mold. So we just give everybody that space to be who they are. Things can go so much more smoothly, and just remembering of what I bring to the table, nothing to defend, nothing to explain. Hey,
Yes.
who I am now.
Perfect. Anything else that you guys notice would be very helpful at this time during the holiday season?
I would say my next tip would be about, yes, the deep breathing, some breath work. One of my favorite ways to regulate my nervous system anytime I find myself in a situation or a conversation that's uncomfortable or triggering, or I'm just feeling some sort of anxiety about a situation, is coming back to the breath. I'll stop wherever I'm at, take a moment, I close my eyes, and I just tap into my heart space, and I breathe. I breathe deeply. I breathe in as much air as I can. I'm going to hold it for a couple of seconds, and then I'm going to release it. And on that out breath, I'm really, it's a slow movement of the breath that I'm releasing. And I'll do that a few times, 3, 4, 5, 10 times if I need to, until I feel my system calm down. I feel my body relaxing. I feel things kind of coming back into center, and I feel that groundedness within myself. It can happen in just a second, just a couple of breaths, and you're back into your own body.
Okay, so why don't everybody, let's put our one hand on your heart in the center and another hand on your belly button, right? This is one technique that I've used even, I feel scattered. So that's why Amy suggested breath work. When we're scattered, I mean, think about a bomb drops in your body and you just go boom. Okay, so that's the graphics. Now you want to bring all your pieces back, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm so busy with this holiday. And you know how all these expectations you're trying to meet. And a lot of times you put it on yourself. They're not even thinking about it. It's like, is the house clean? Is the table set? Everything is cooked? And then, by the way, and you should look pretty, right? Like, that's in our head. Oh, and by the way, did you put your makeup on? Did you take a shower? Like all those things. Simple, yet that's really what's in our head, especially the females in the family. It's almost like we are responsible for everything. It's like, are the slippers put away? Is the house ready for the guest? You're thinking of too many little things, and this is how you just bring your energy back. So put your hand on your heart and the other hand on your belly button. And the intention you put in your head is to bring all of your energies back to you now, not everybody else's, but yours. So go ahead, set that in your intention. And we're going to take a deep breath, right? So tip of the tongue at the roof of your mouth so that your brain has some support. And you're breathing in through your nose like blue. And then you're breathing out through your mouth like red. Okay, so let's practice that, okay? So breathe in blue. Breathe out red. Breathe in blue. Breathe out red. Breathe in blue. Breathe out red. So now try breathing in and out of your nose, tip of your tongue at the roof of your mouth, and really feel the flow, like just water. Think about the water moves through your feet, your legs, the back of the spine, the top of your head, and hold. Then just release through your nose. That's parasympathetic breathing. Breathe in again. Breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. So if your mind is still active, if you can identify your mind as having a light switch, and you know when you turn off the switch and you just quiet your mind and you turn off the light? So let's just turn off your mind so then you're not really overthinking, overanalyzing, overstressing, or overworrying. And see if you can get your breath to go higher than your head, like 2 feet above. And now visualize the holiday that you'd like to have, that ideal setting you'd like to have, how everybody feels, how you feel, what's the picture like. Through your breath, just allow that to be. So know that when you feel scattered, then all the energies are scattered. And when you feel calm and composed, then everything becomes calm and composed. That's just how that works. So you have more control of your surroundings and your festivities more than you can ever think possible. You feel it in your heart. What's a sense of peace? What's satisfying, right? Like, so what if perhaps you wanted a little drama in the family because that just brings the light up or something, like something happens. Do you really want that? Or maybe somebody does, but if you don't respond the same way that you used to respond, that other person who creates the drama is going to have to change. They're going to have to shift because it's different. Does this make sense? So as you're breathing, open your eyes and just have a different sense of perception of your holiday that's coming up, because that's whatever you visualized through your breath and you embodied it, and that's the feeling you'd like to have, that's what you're going to have. It really depends on you what you like. Now, if you like the drama and the chaos, that's also fine, because that maybe that gives you a form of life, right? Like, oh, look at this, they're fighting, they're arguing. All right, if that rocks your boat, go for it. It's up to you. It's really
It's your own adventure.
You get to decide how you experience it.
Yes.
I
And
have
then,
another.
go ahead,
I have
Deanna.
another tip to share. I heard this from, I guess it's a daily call that a guy named Kyle Cease does, C-E-A-S-E. I had
Okay.
heard his name before, but not encountered him. And you know how I like word pictures. So he had
Yes.
a word picture, and it just meant so much to me. He said, a woman was asking, I'm just having trouble forgiving. She said, I've never had trouble with that before, but now suddenly I am. And he said, well, answer a few questions for me. So she talked about someone that had hurt her and they're not even sorry. Like they just make it a habit of being selfish and hurting people's feelings and they don't care. He said, okay, and are you feeling a bit hurt by that? And she said, well, yeah, actually, I guess I am, now that you asked. You know? And he said, so let's say you're trying to enter Club Compassion, a nightclub, and there's a bouncer at the door. And you've always been able to get in and just grab some compassion and go deliver it over there in the past. But this year, nope, the bouncer's not going to let you in. What? Why not? He goes, you need to look inside because you have some hurt today. You don't get to deliver compassion to others until you deliver it to yourself. He said, for instance, let's say my little daughter, this is Kyle talking, he says, let's say she comes back from the neighbor's house and she's crying and she's got a boo-boo on her arm and she says, Sissy hit me, you know, and it's bleeding a little bit. And he goes, oh, you know what? We need to go give her some compassion. Come on, let's go. Let's go give her some forgiveness. It's bleeding. No, come on. First priority. Go give some, we need to go give some compassion to her. what? It just doesn't make any sense to the littles, So that hurt younger me inside, he's speaking to this woman, and it would be true for me, is like, oh wow, we're gonna get some attention here. So finally we matter. And so he said, now just go inside and give some tenderness and compassion. Tend to that need, that hurt. And now step back over to Club Compassion and see if the bouncer will let you in to get some compassion for that other person. I just thought, how lovely is that? So don't we all have some potential hurts from the past, and maybe somebody that we're just planning to stay on the other side of the room from, right? So invite you to get in touch with a past hurt and give some compassion to that one before you decide you have to forgive that other person. And he said it's kind of it's a false forgiveness. What he said was foundationless. If we haven't tended to the hurt inside, then the forgiveness has no foundation and doesn't have meaning. So let's infuse some meaning in the holidays.
It's a beautiful story, Vienna. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you think about that, right? If you have a business and the business is your big, and you as the mother or the hurts. Unfortunately, we bleed that into the business. It just transmits, right? Whatever we're feeling.
It's our vibration.
Yeah, it's vibration and it's water. It flows. So unfortunately, you're like, no, I'm just gonna hold this in and don't bother me, right? Just do that.
If our businesses,
yes,
if our businesses are an extension of us, we are delivering our gifts through our business, then absolutely there is that connection. Yes. And so whatever we're feeling, we are feeding that into our business.
Well said.
Yes, that's why that's for you and your own time out, right? Like I give myself my own time out. I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm not going to talk to these people because then I will just tell them what I'm feeling that is not feeling good, right? Like a kid, like Vienna said, like I'm going to do my tantrum because you don't have any compassion for me. And therefore, then I won't have any compassion for you if you don't have it's just normal. It's like a survival.
And that creates the cycle. And that creates the cycle. And
drama cycle.
Stuck in it.
Yeah.
That spirals downward.
Exactly. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. And what is the third thing, Amy, that you want to wish to impart on our people here right now?
Wherever you're going, wherever you're gathering, whoever you're seeing for the holidays, take your headphones with you, okay? Put together a playlist before you go and take your headphones, because when you're out, when you've taken your space and you have that, you went outside, maybe you need to take a walk, whatever you're doing for you, you're doing your deep breathing, pop those headphones in, put on your favorite song, anything that's going to inspire you, that's going to, help you to raise your vibration, raise your frequency, so you can get into a better mood. Then when you go back to your gathering, you feel good, you feel excited, you feel like you're ready to help everyone else then get upbeat and excited.
That's brilliant.
And that's true, because I just attended, I texted and I even put it on Facebook, right? So my daughter had this concert. It's like a Christmas holiday concert at Cal State Fullerton. And literally, you go in, attend a concert, and all you hear is music. You can't help but feel good. It's a completely different dimension. It's almost like, what chakras are you talking about? I'm already on my higher plane right now. It just kind of changes the mood, the feeling, and then all these good feelings associated with the songs that they're singing, right? The holidays. Because when we think of the holidays, what does our brain and our mind do? We associate the good feelings if you've had good feeling emotions during that time. And since I had them, so I'm like, this is like heaven. It's like the angels are singing to you. That's the
Yeah.
feeling I was getting in the festivities and the celebration, and that was the holiday. That was music. Like it transports you somewhere. So, like Amy was saying, if you, you're in front of somebody and they're irritating the heck out of you, get out of that room.
Mhm.
Do
Yes.
not respond to anger, because what are you going to get back? More anger.
Mhm.
Right?
You're just going to amplify. You're amplifying whatever you're receiving. When you're giving it back, you're just amplifying it. And then that's what's happening. Then you're back and forth amplifying it to each other. And that's when the explosions happen.
Yep. It'll be really, really good or really, really bad.
Mhm.
And it's funny because when somebody's angry, I've noticed this, right? Because one of our relatives, they just talk. Talk. They don't listen, actually. They don't give you space. They just want you to receive. Okay. So that's okay if they're saying, "Oh, how beautiful you are. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You've just created a great life for yourself, and I'm so happy your house looks good." Like if they're feeding you positive things, that's a different story, right? You have to receive that. And it's funny when they're telling you all these negative things. And at that time, you're not thinking about, shall I do therapy on myself? Because you don't have that space at that time, right? You're just like, what's going on? Why do I need to take bullets and daggers and an arrow and a shooting bullet? Like, okay, do I have to do all this? No, you don't. So how do you shift it? You can have music. You have to leave that toxic space, get out. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. Have you at all in a family gathering?
I've had moments where, yes, I have walked out the door and like, I gotta go. I don't say anything to anybody. I just grabbed my coat, put my shoes on, just walked out the front door and went on a walk. My stepbrother came running after. He's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I just need space."
You just say, "Tap in the hand."
I need 5 minutes.
And what has that done?
It helped to regulate my system. So I left the situation that was creating the anxiety in my system. I went for a walk, moved the energy, and was able to come back in a neutral space.
One idea that a friend gave to me who's got a great medical understanding, and it was before I was going to be taking my massage therapy exam. So it's like, got to be clear-headed, right? She said, if you get downwind of some fear pheromones from the other people, your brain's going offline. So she said, here's a strategy. She said, don't go into the group until you're ready to take the test. Don't hang out with fearful, negative people ahead of time, you know. But then when you go in, if you do catch a little bit of fear, to just step away. And like, I think this is why the walking works, right? Adrenaline and cortisol, the best way to release it, it actually just has to be burned up. So that walking, you know, you're literally using it up. So just knowing that was a huge help. And even if it's like bouncing your feet under the desk or something, you know, there's got to be some movement to move that energy on out. So I love that idea. And Vivian, with your music idea, I don't think we've done this at the last gathering. And so you've given me an idea. Have music playing softly in the background in the room. Let that begin to set the tone. For it. We can, you know, find something that everybody's going to like. And I have another question. I'd love the input of both of you on this. Sometimes the preteens and the teens, I actually found myself cringing a little when I saw your headphones, and I love that you said, when you step away, put these on. But you'll see them the whole time. Like this. So how can we manage that? I mean, I think what came to me was ahead of time, set the expectation. These are people that we don't see very often, you know, and we're going to have some interactions. And then even like creating activities, you know, for
Yes.
you know?
That's why in our holidays, right, we have games, because they're almost forced to, you're not forcing them to the goal is it exciting enough for me? Because a lot of these kids, honestly, because what we're talking about, they don't have a clue. There's no tangibility, and for them, it doesn't exist. Therefore, they cancel it out, and so they use headphones to just cancel you out, cancel the noise out because it's too much for them. I've noticed that with the children. It's either they have the headphone or they have the iPad. That's all they walk around with. Some kind of game, but never really communicating with another human. And I agree with you there, Vienna, that they are into themselves so much, right? It's funny because the older generations, I was typing this up to show to the people, right? Don't lose yourself during the holidays. You have to claim it. It's funny because the younger adults or the children that we have now, they actually claim their beingness a lot.
Yeah,
They're the
they
ones
do.
that are saying, come on, like they're join us. And they're like, not really. I don't want to have to do anything with you. So it's a different generation. They're not making it, if we don't make it right or wrong and just say they have preferences. I've noticed if I talk to my children and we have set some agreements before, that helps. A little bit of like a family meeting. Hey, we're going to go to this holiday thing. But what I'm noticing is whatever they are, because in my family, I really allow them space to develop who they are. I don't control like how they should behave. Like our moms and our grandmas, they used to do that. Like, you should sit still. You should wear this thing. You should. They have a lot of shoulds, which is very irritating to the new generation's ears. They don't respond well.
They can't be told. They can't really be told what to do, how to act, how to be. They're just they're. I see that with my children. They're 9 and 6. I really see it in their development, where they're very sure of who they are in certain aspects, and there's nothing that I could do or that I'd want to do to override that.
Yes, and that's a good point to bring up, Amy, right? Like, it's just like I said, the way we look at it. So we have our own set of eyes and we see the world a certain way, and we're hoping that people would be like that. But until you communicate that, right, there's a conversation that takes place and you're at the same level, then that's what we see in the holidays. It's like somebody just, stop it. Like, that's not what I want. But they don't really mean to hurt us. It's just maybe they don't have the communication tools available to express that, like, that really looks awkward and weird. But it's funny because games, right? Everybody, we came from childhood, right? So games for me is like, oh, they'll do that. So as long as they have some form of a contribution, because games, it's interactive, right? Yeah. Then they start to like participate, and then you see the other side of them that you haven't seen before. So for me, it's an icebreaker. So I suggest that, you don't have to lose yourself. Like, I'm a kid at heart all the time, so I always bring games, and then I ask whoever is the host, right? Is it okay that we do this? And they're like, sure, you plan the whole thing, right? Like for our holiday party for a lot of the clients on this Friday, we're doing it at, by Zoom, it's 6 to 7:30, but for the people attending live, it's 5 to 9 in Brea, right? In one of our practitioners' houses. So we will be sharing with one another. Of course, we're not just going to talk. We're going to have games because it's fun. And then we get to interact like that side of them. You know how you have a hat as a practitioner, you have a hat as a mom, you have a hat as a kid. We have different hats. So the more you can integrate that in almost like an icebreaker. I use the games as icebreaker. It works. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think one of the most insightful in terms of insight into personalities that we wouldn't normally see, and this was with a ladies group from church, and maybe 40, 50 ladies, and they decided to do a white elephant gift exchange.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it was that you could go take a previous person's gift.
Yes. Only 3 times.
Right?
Yeah.
I saw a sign of every single person I had never seen in the straight laced
I know.
ceremony.
It's so much
Thing.
fun.
Oh, mhm.
Whoa.
Yes, yes.
So
So
it's-
yeah, that's
it's
what we're
fun.
going to invite them to, is actually be part of our TWI Christmas party. If you enjoy these shows, if you enjoy our presence, if you enjoy just the different people that hang out with us, you're invited to come. It's going to be at 6 to 7:30 p.m. And it's up to you if you want to bring anything or not for a Secret Santa exchange. Because I know everybody lives in different places. So if you just want to have the presence of, we always have games, even if you're not physically present. I don't know. I just come up with those things. So it's fun.
Your inner child is in her floor. She's flourishing in this season. Yeah.
I love holidays because I can get to play and I don't have to be too serious about like this has to be. No, it doesn't. It's just an open space for everyone to be a part of this community. So thank you guys. This is such a fun conversation. How the holidays are pretty light.
Yeah,
It
But
is.
we gotta
It
make
is.
it light because it's kind of heavy the whole year. So yeah, we gotta make it
Oh,
light.
exactly. This year of all years, let's really.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's incorporate more fun and games and play
That's right.
as
That's
we
right.
move through this
So we
season.
can
Yeah.
all be a fun young child again, right? Even for
Mhm.
just a few hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then you have, believe me, so much energy comes with that. When finally you can allow that little child of yours to even show up, right? You know, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
I can be me. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally can reset, right?
Yes, yes.
And giving
Yeah.
yourself permission to be in the energy of your inner child.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
All right. So let's just close this beautiful space with that energy of us really taking care of our own inner child. Telling her how proud we are of her or him. And then let's give her permission to play and to create the life she truly, truly desires. Amen. Aw, see? You can always tie a ribbon there and it's all
Yeah.
good.
Exactly. Clockwise circle to seal in that feeling.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Today, our show is super light because that's how we want to end this, right? There's so many other weird things and serious things going on, and we can just be in our own space, enjoying what is in front of us, what's in the present, so that we can create the future we wish to have.
Yeah.
Bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.